Hey guys, it's Dana and it's time to talk about money. And in this video, I want to talk about debt. Is any debt okay or why is it bad? Okay, so at its highest, my husband and I had $100,000 in consumer debt, right? So we've had debt, all kinds of debt, student loan debt, credit card debt, medical debt, any kind of 401k loans, like any kind of debt you can think of. We had, furniture debt for furniture, for stuff for household stuff, utility stuff, teeth. Debt for teeth, all kinds of stuff, right? So we if you name it, we've had it. We've had all kinds. And 70% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, right? So it's 7 to 8 houses on your street. So it's like we intellectually hear those statistics and we know a majority of people are in debt, right? Everybody that I mostly talk to have some kind of car payment. We used to have car payments. Now our cars are paid for. But most people have a car payment and it's very normal, right? It's really normalized to have certain types of debt. Like some people just say, oh, you're always going to have a car payment, no big deal. Or taking out school loans, no big deal. It's just what you do. You got to go and get an education, right? So lots of people just do it. But then when you have that debt, what do you have? You have payments that go along with that, right? So essentially it is robbing you of your most powerful wealth building tool, which is your income. So the more payments you're gathering up with debt, then the less money you have to invest or to save for an emergency fund or for, just for your retirement, right? So payments are really bad. I was going to say evil, but I think debt overall, right? It's robbing you of peace and it's robbing you of so many things, right? So I listen to the Dave Ramsey show almost every day. And when people call in the Dave Ramsey show, they do what they call their debt-free scream when they, tell their story about when they were in debt and how they got out of debt. And then they, say, we're debt-free, all that stuff. So you might have seen the videos on YouTube. But so when I listen to those, a lot of times there are really heartbreaking stories on there about things that have happened to people, real human stories about what has happened when they were in debt, right? They had this normal debt, which everybody has, and things that happen, unexpected things that we don't want to happen. Nobody expects it to happen. That's why it's unexpected, such as death, right? So there was one woman who was saying that her brother had passed away. And she really wanted to pay for the funeral, to take that burden off of her mother so that her mother wouldn't have to pay for her son's funeral. And she said because they were so deep in debt and they didn't have any money at all, they were living paycheck to paycheck, she just couldn't help. She could not help to pay for that funeral, and how unbelievably heartbreaking it was. And she was crying. It was really, just very touching story. And that was her why of why she wanted to get out of debt. So a lot of people who do manage to get out of debt and to work through the process of, paying off their debt quickly, and people who make that commitment to never get back into debt where they're not going to go back, is people who have had something like that happen, something major. Or maybe they couldn't afford to fly out to a funeral. Somebody did die and they couldn't make the flight to get to the funeral because it was expensive, or they just didn't have any money, right? And also, somebody was talking about how their husband had cancer. And their husband had cancer. They were deep into debt. They were trying to get out of debt. And of course, Dave Ramsey's advice was to pause the debt snowball and stop paying down as much money on the debt and try to save up cash because they were fighting for her husband's life. It was they needed to have all that money so that they would be able to, spend the money that they needed, say, to fly to another state to get, some kind of treatment done that might potentially save his life. So if you're not in debt and you don't have a ton of payments and you have money set aside in a savings account, when this kind of thing comes up, you'd be able to just focus on it and focus on trying to heal, doing what you had to do to heal, to live, right? To be able to go wherever you needed to go, anywhere, in order to get the treatments that you needed, which is also, why I think I mean, it's so important to not have debt and to work on building wealth and to have a savings account set aside. Because of course, like, people don't think about these things, or if they don't have a big savings account, they have tons of debt, they just don't think about it, like I said, until something happens. And then it's like, oh, we don't have the money to do it. And it's awful. It's a terrible situation to be in. Or if you lose a job, if you're laid off, or you graduate from college with your new degree with, $50,000 in school loans, and you thought you were going to be able to find a job and you can't find a job. You're trying, you're applying everywhere and you can't find a job. It can be just the heart palpitations that you feel. Like, it can be so stressful because you have these student loan payments that you're going to have to start making, and you don't have an income, right? And so how different is that than when you graduate college with no student loan debt and you can just search for your new job without any pressure, any stress? How differently are you going to even interview when you go in to interview for those positions, right? On the one hand, you're stressed out, you have to pay these loan payments that are coming up, and they might be big loan payments, and you're going to be so stressed out, you're just going to be in a panic, you're going to be desperate, and you're going to be willing to accept anything, and they're going to see that on your face, and they're going to be able to tell it. It's just kind of like you can sense it, right? Versus if you're very confident, you don't need that job, you'd like that job, but it's going to be a different interview. And most likely the person who's going to get it is the person who's calm and isn't desperate, right? They're most likely going to get the job versus the one who is, unfortunately, right? So it's just a different world when you don't have debt. Or if you get married and you have children and you are a woman or a man and you would like to stay home with your children, that might not be a choice if you went to medical school and you have $200,000 of school loan debt. And I mean, you have to go and earn money with that new degree to pay back your school loans. You don't have the choice to stay home with your child at that point. You have to get a return on the investment that you made to get that degree, all the years you put in, right? There's no choice. You have to go to work to pay back those school loans if you went into debt for them, right? So that choice is taken away. So I just think, like I'm always saying, I say this multiple times on my channel, I think being debt-free gives you choices. I mean, that's what's most important about building wealth. And then you have the ability to give to others and leave a legacy for your children. And when big things come up, you don't have to be, you'll have the ability to take care of it. You're not going to, it's not going to be this heartbreaking story, right? So if you are following the Dave Ramsey baby steps and you're in baby step 1 through 3, baby step 1 is to build that $1,000 emergency fund. Baby step 2 is to pay off all your debt, not including your house. That would be all debt including school loans, car payments, credit cards, all your debt. And then baby step 3 is to save 3 to 6 months of your household expenses, right, into a savings account. That's your emergency fund, your fully funded emergency fund. And when you're in those 3 steps, that's when you're in a panic. You are working as hard as you can to pay it off as fast as you can so you can get through it and so that you can be in a more secure, a stronger position financially and to give and to save and build wealth. So my personal opinion is that all debt is bad. I feel very strongly against it because I have personally had so much debt and I know the feelings it has given me. I have interviewed desperately, trying to find something to pay off because I knew I had payments. And I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like to have a child who is sick and I'm having an anxiety attack about the copay at the emergency room as I'm driving my child there and having to sit at the emergency room and have to even have that in my mind of how we're going to pay for this emergency room visit is horrible, really, because I know the focus should be on whether or not my kid is healthy and how are they going to help him to be healthy. One of the worst experiences of my life. So I do not like any kind of debt. I think that it does enslave us and takes away our choices. And I don't want to have to be thinking about I don't want to have payments of any kind. I don't want to owe anybody any money. I want the money that I earn to be my money to do with what I would like to, right? So it's very important to me to avoid all kinds of debt. And because I've had those personal experiences, I know that my husband and I, we will never, ever borrow any money from anybody ever again. Okay, so three main reasons to not go into debt are death, cancer, and loss of a job, right? So if you have any other reasons that you think are really important to not go into debt that I didn't mention, you can leave those down below in the comments, or if you have a personal story that you would like to share about what happened when you were in debt that you were not able to do or take care of or, attend because of the debt, that'd be great too. I think too many of us, it's just too normalized. I really think debt is way too normalized. And my hope is that when my children become adults, in the next 10, 20 years, it's going to be like smoking. And so people are going to just think that it's horrible. They don't borrow money anymore. Credit card companies, I hope that they just go out of business. And if you don't have the money and you can't buy it, then you just don't get it. I think that would be so much better. And then we could all just stop living above our means and stop trying to impress people we don't know. And I just think that would be so much better. That's my dream for the future. I think that we'd all be happier, more content if that was the case. So I'm here every single Tuesday talking all about money. We're a family of 6 living in the Philadelphia area, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.